Welcome to Something Positive for Positive People. I'm Courtney Brain. Something Positive for Positive People is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is the leading hub of sexual health communications resources, especially for people who are navigating herpes stigma. One of the things that we do, along with coaching people into how to talk about their sexual health, setting relationship expectations, as well as referring people to therapists and sexual health professionals to support their needs beyond just conversations, is advocate for the integration of these lived experiences shared on this platform from people who have gone through stigma themselves. We want to get those integrated into some sort of intervention program in sex education so that it can best support existing STD, STI prevention efforts. We even advocate for a change in that name, STD prevention, which would be STI minimization. You'll hear me say all the time that sexual health is mental health, and how interconnected our sexuality and identities are, to a place where we really have to unpack and explore the mental health aspects of stigma if we're going to do anything about the physical effects. Because I talk to people on a regular basis that are experiencing the most extreme of extreme psychological effects of a stigma. Right. So it has been, I don't think I've recorded a podcast episode since June, and it's September right now. It's September 1st, the day of recording. So this podcast, I think, is going to release in about a month, actually, because I got the next three episodes already lined up. But I'm here today with Mila. Mila, right?
Milu.
Milu. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That one gets
Milu.
butchered all the
Milu.
time.
I was so ready. But it's interesting. This is an interesting recording time and like how we even met. Do you mind if I share that before I?
No, no,
All
no,
right,
no.
cool. So I'm gonna be going to Vegas tomorrow, literally, September 2nd, and I'm gonna be there for a men's seminar. And I'm on Positive Singles already, and I changed my location for obvious reasons. And you were one of the profiles I saw there. And I don't know if it was, how it shows so and so viewed me or whatever.
Hmm.
Like, I saw that you viewed me. I was like, oh, she's in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I saw that our relationship intentions weren't aligned. But I was like, oh, I'll reach out and just see if you're aware of anything happening out there. And it just so happens that you saw, I guess, that I host this podcast, and then there was just like a little bit of an exchange about that, and then you offered me some suggestions of things to do there, and you offered to interview me on your podcast whenever you decide to do that. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I interview you? So I'm glad we were able to make this happen. So
Right.
yeah, that's enough of me talking. This is not my podcast episode. It might be my podcast, but this is your episode. You the guest. So, me, Lou, why don't you tell me as much as you are comfortable sharing about yourself, and then we can go into the conversation. So, just however you would like to introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Milo Angelique. That's what I'm known as a musician. I'm a drummer mostly. Um, I live in Vegas right now. I'm 35 years old, and I found out that I was positive, I believe, like 3 months ago.
Oh, this is
So this is still
new,
fairly
new.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is still fairly new to me. Um, but I'm the kind of person that once I find something out, especially health wise, I research the hell out of it. Um, and then that also helps me process it emotionally and mentally faster.
Hmm.
I got my ups and downs, but yeah, I decided that that's not what I want to be known for, but it's a part of me. It's forever not going to be a part of me, and I'm not. I wouldn't say embracing it would be the word, but I don't know,
Taking it in. Maybe not like
taking it
embracing
in.
it and holding it up, but
Right,
like you're taking it in and you're being with it. Is that accurate?
right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. Being at peace with it,
Yeah.
understanding it, being at peace with it, understanding how to navigate it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's me. I'm Mexican. Mexican American. I've been living in Vegas for 20-ish years. But I was born in Mexico City, and then I moved to Inglewood, California, LA area. Then I moved to Vegas. So I've been here ever since. Um, I'm mainly a musician. I've been drumming for 20 plus years. And then I'm also studying to become a certified medical interpreter in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language.
All right.
So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I like that you shared more about yourself than just your herpes diagnosis, because one of the things that I'm hoping to be able to accomplish here is really humanizing people and their experiences, so that people can see the kind of people who have herpes. At this point, with
Okay.
300 whatever podcast episodes that are out, you hear from people of all walks of life, from their careers to their sexual orientations, their religions, lifestyles, creative outlets. You don't just think of a person with herpes as being what stigma will allow for you to think about a person with herpes. And that's really beautiful about this experience here, is facilitating a space where we are humanizing people who have the virus rather than minimizing people to being what the virus itself represents, which is diseased or whatever else, right? Um,
Right.
I would like to know two things. The first thing is, how long did it take you to find a useful resource? I'm assuming that Positive Singles was one of the first things that you did come across. And then the second question that I had is, how, if at all, has your life changed since your diagnosis 3 months ago?
Right. You mean resource as in something that just kind of gave me information, or what do you mean?
Yeah, so thank you for asking for clarity on that. So I'm asking, what led you to Positive Singles? Let me just ask that first.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I've been single now for like a year and a half, something like that. Um, so I had been on different dating apps, but then once I found out my diagnosis, I realized how much more difficult it would be to be on a dating app. Um, and I wasn't really quite sure how I wanted to navigate. Everybody, I realized, has different ways of navigating it, as far as telling someone they're interested in right away, or waiting until they go on a couple dates, or until they get more serious. Um, and I just try to be as transparent as possible with really important things when it comes to dating, whether it be casual dating or serious dating. So I started looking, and I was like, once I realized the amount of people that had this, I realized, like, there's gotta be by now on the internet a place, a website or an app or something where there's a bunch of us who still want to date or who still want to fuck around, but I want to be transparent about it. Don't want to be a spreader, and want to make sure you're up and honest about it. And even more comfortable if somebody already has it, because that way you guys can share that and don't have to worry about it when it comes to the sexual aspect of the situation. So I got on Positive Singles and decided to kind of browse that around, and I seen that there is other apps, but that's really the only one I've tried so far.
Hmm. And
Um,
then the other question was, how have things changed for you? But I feel like you kind of answered that.
kind of. They have changed. Um, how do I?
Do you feel like your
So
options have changed in any way?
yeah. So this actually really impacted my mental, in the sense that, well, in the more common ways, you have to deal with having a virus that there is no cure for yet. Um, but at the time that I found out, I had decided to transition to my lifestyle. So
Can
once I
you
turned,
can you tell me what that means? Because I think I know
yeah,
what that means, but it seems
yeah,
like it seems different.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Um, so I was
You ain't got to be
okay.
professional here either. Like, it looked like you
I'm
want to
gonna
say the
let's
right
see like how
things.
long I want to make the story. I'm like, this could be long, but it could be short.
This your
Um,
story.
so in the story, I guess, is that up until I was like 30, I was very monogamous. And so if I was dating someone, which was all the time, I was usually in long term relationships, and I was only dating that person, super super monogamous. Then when I turned 30, I had gone through enough heartbreaks that I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to have fun. Um, and so I went into my what people call dirty 30s, right? So it's just like, cool, I'm gonna have so much fun. And at the time that I turned 30, I had met my last partner, and so he was more into a polyamorous lifestyle. So then I got into that lifestyle. I had a lot of fun. Um, it was mostly polyamorous. It was kind of polyamorous, but kind of not, because I'm more into girls than I am into guys, in a sense. um, so I had a lot of partners with my partner, and then that didn't end up working out. But I was still kind of trying to navigate what I want to do with my life now that I'm single. And then I want to say like a month or two before I found out that I was positive, I was already changing my mindset, and I was like, okay, I feel like now I'm comfortable enough and mentally ready to look for a real relationship, whether that be monogamous or
All right.
polyamorous. Like in whatever a real relationship would end up being. Because at this point, I don't really know what that would be for me, because I've gone through monogamy and then I've gone through polyamory. Um, Not to be confused with polygamy, close but not the same. Um, and so I decided, okay, I want to find a legit boyfriend or husband, not just a hookup, like
Wait, wait,
someone for
wait.
real.
Why? Why do you want a boyfriend or husband if you're more into girls?
Okay, so I'm more into girls sexually. I've never really been or had, unless I haven't met anybody that I wanted to like date. So I still like guys a lot, but I'm also still very sexually attracted to women.
I
So
think I heard
my
that backwards. I think I heard it backwards. Hold on. So, are you're more sexually attracted to men? Yes or no?
mm,
Okay, I didn't hear that backwards. You said it each way.
it's kind of weird.
What you go ahead. We can explain it. We can explain
So
it.
I'm sexually attracted to both, I would
Okay.
say. More physically attracted to women,
Okay.
but dating wise, I have never really seen myself dating a woman, which is kind of I have dated a woman. I know I'm weird. I
No,
just
it's not
don't
weird.
even.
It's not weird. Can I cut through? Can I cut through the bullshit and just straight out?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that what women represent and what men represent are different. Like, are women more fun to you, and men offer like more security to you? Is that accurate or not? If I was good with podcast stuff, I'd play that Jeopardy thing.
Right, I know. I'm like,
Copyright issues. And if you
I
don't have an
know.
answer, you can just not have an answer. But I'm always just curious because
Yeah,
I do hear
yeah,
that I like both, but I
yeah.
won't be in a relationship with a woman. I hear this from women who date men and women, and
Right.
I see objectively why women won't be in a long term relationship exclusively with another woman, but will
Uh,
with a man. But
right,
I don't think that when women are in it, they want to say why that is. Like, no one wants to say
right.
why it is, and I think the default is I don't know, in fear of sounding like a bad person.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. So I'll start by saying this is my personal preference, and this is why I think people are so scared to say exactly how they feel, because they're like, oh, this person's being sexist or whatever. But I feel like whatever you prefer, it's your preference. I don't think it makes you racist. I don't think it makes you sexist. I don't think it makes you, well, race can be played with, but I don't think it makes you a bad person if you like specific things and for people that you want to be sexual with or emotionally intimate with. I find women to be beautiful physically. I'm very body positive, I guess is what they call it. Um, but I like dick, so I consider myself pansexual
Okay,
in the sense
I
that
wanted
I
to
used
ask you
to
that.
consider myself bisexual, because bisexual would be more like you're into women and you're into men. But then for me, I personally realized that I like women that are feminine. Um, Not so much women that are like trans, that are women but then turn into men, because my mind mentally I feel the masculine vibe, and I expect a penis. And some women I feel obviously will replace that with a toy or something like that. I don't know what that means.
I was your jingles on your bracelets is
Oh,
picking
I
up
don't
real
know.
strong because you talk with your
Oh, no?
hands. That's all.
Oh,
I was trying to just point it
yeah.
out without stopping you because you were going. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Um, okay, so yeah, some women will replace that with like toys, but I personally don't care for toys, so it doesn't work for me, you know. And so, kind of by default, I still like men in a sense because I am attracted to their physical, but I like a real penis. I wouldn't say security would be the right thing. I I think it also plays a part with the way that I grew up. I was always really like a tomboy growing up, so I hung out with guys. Guy friends were like my thing. I didn't really have a lot of friends that were females. Um, so I feel more comfortable with men than I do with women. But I like to be sexually active with women, but I don't want to date the women. It's weird. I think it's my own
That's not
preference,
weird.
my
No, no,
own
no.
upbringing.
Please don't say that. Please don't say that it's weird because again, you already
Not
prefaced it.
common.
You've
It is
prefaced it
common.
already with that people like what they like. And that
Yeah.
should not be frowned upon. People will shame someone for having their preferences. And the reality is that everyone has preferences. If I
Right.
prefer a big butt, or if I prefer someone who is
Right.
more uh, like a happy person, or somebody who's just
Right.
not negative, these aren't, oh my
Right.
God, you're mental healthist, like an ism. I don't even know
Right.
what you call that, like psychosism. You're
Right.
psychosis because you won't date someone who's depressed all the time. And it's like, what?
Right.
And people will say that you might be some type of phobic because you choose to date in the way that you date. And to be honest, that ain't nobody's fucking business. To be completely
Right.
transparent, but like,
Yeah.
you ain't finna shame me into liking you. I wouldn't even want to have sex with somebody who I had to shame into liking me. Oh, you just don't like black
Right.
penis. Like, what? Now I have to prove it. Like, come on.
Right.
Um,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And like that's the interesting thing because I've only had one girlfriend that was back in high school. So I can
real
count
quick,
that, but kind of, high school is a different thing.
real quick. Your
Yeah.
bracelets. I can't see your
I
hands, but
don't
it's
have any
still.
bracelets, but I don't know. Maybe it's
Oh, it's your
there.
earring. It's your earring.
All right, let me take
Maybe.
them off real quick.
All right. Thank you.
They're not necessary. But I'm like, I don't have any bracelets. Okay.
They don't look like they jingle though.
Okay. I know. That's why I don't know what it is. Oh, okay. Maybe. Oh, you know what it is? It's a necklace. Okay. We all do. Okay. All right. Any more?
No, we're good. It was a
Okay.
necklace.
I
I
was
didn't even know the necklace jingled.
because it's metal, so like it would hit the
I see
earring,
it now.
and
I
I
see
guess
it
it would
now.
like
I
clench.
think I expected a visual of what was a lot of bracelets. Okay, we're good now.
Yeah,
Sorry, y'all.
yeah.
I
You're
can't
good. No,
edit that out. I can't edit those.
no, I feel you. That's why I'm like, the sound would be messed up if there's like jingly everywhere.
Okay. But yeah, we closed out preferences, and yeah, that's closed out. Did you have more to say on that?
Um, you were asking me why I wanted a boyfriend or like a husband, right? Is that what your
Over.
like original question?
Oh yeah. So the original question was like, because I heard you say that you liked women more, but then you said you still want a boyfriend or a husband, and I was trying to figure out.
Right.
I was trying to figure
I think
out.
I'm gonna retract that statement
Okay.
that I like women more.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's all
I wouldn't
right.
say that's the correct way to state that. I do like women, not more than men, but I like them a lot to the point where my ideal partner would be someone where I have my main partner, which would be a male, um, and hopefully together we will still be into women.
Got it.
So it's
So
not a fully monogamous relationship.
this is more of a preferred relationship structure.
Right,
Okay.
right. So that's why I like having a boyfriend or husband, a partner, because I like having that base.
Okay.
You know, I realize that when I'm single, I don't find it as fun or as I don't feel as comfortable being with people, hooking up with people casually. I have more fun when I have my base partner, and it's like we go and we have fun to each other, and I like having that home to come back to. So I think
So,
that's what I missed about having a partner, is having that home base to come back to and like share experiences, or whether we did them individually or we did them together.
yeah.
It's just come back and be like, dude, oh my god, this happened. It's like, what? Your chick did this, or our chick, or whoever we were with. And so I like that. I like having that base.
So the safety.
I guess it's safety. Is it safety?
A safety. Like you can
Safety
always
sounds
come
weird.
home to a man, but like it doesn't sound like you really feel safe coming home consistently to a woman.
I guess I've never really found a woman that I've clicked with.
Okay.
Not in the sense where I like want to date them.
Yeah, yeah. I got you.
Never.
I got you.
I don't even really have girlfriends. Like I have friends that are girls that I've known for a long time, but I don't really hang out with girls. It's just never been my thing.
Okay.
Um, but I'm attracted to them physically.
Yeah. Uh,
So
Out of curiosity, what changed for you at 30? You said that you were in and out of long-term monogamous relationships, and at 30 was when you started wilding out. Did you know that you were pansexual or into non-monogamy prior to turning 30?
no, which is actually a funny story because I had a friend throughout all those different phases, and when I went into my dirty 30s, he reminded me, he's like, yeah, I remember like just a couple years ago, you were like, I would never be like open like that sexually, and I would never do crazy wild things like that. And I'm like, yeah, at that time I had only known monogamy. I didn't really know about polyamory. Um, and I grew, I feel like it has to do a lot with the way I grew up. So I grew up in a traditional Mexican household. My parents stayed together. They've been married for like 40 plus years. And so I grew up uh, not brainwashed, but like taught that, marriage, relationships, that road, the road that's kind of like consistently in like Catholic,
Indoctrinated?
Mexican,
Is that the word?
huh?
Indoctrinated?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know what that means.
Ah, I don't. I can't. Oh, actually, I can Google it. You can keep talking. I forgot. I'm looking around. I'm looking around for how to search for something, and I literally am interviewing you.
That's so funny.
Okay, here it is. A person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Yep, that's it. Indoctrinating. I even spelled it
Okay.
wrong. Thank you, Google.
Okay. Indoctrinated. Yeah. So I feel like that played a part in me being monogamous. I didn't know there was any other options. I didn't know any other way of life. And then so I was a very loyal person, and I dated a lot of people that weren't loyal. And so I had never had a one night stand, and I was just never into that stuff. And when I finally had that last relationship before I turned 30, I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Worst thing that can happen is it's not for me. I don't do it again. Boom, that's fine. Not a problem, But I think what um, helped me during that time is finding my last partner, which was into polyamory, and which was a very sexually active person. And in order for us to be together, it would have to be something polyamorous for him to be comfortable with it. And I and it was interesting because I felt like some people might have thought like, oh, he convinced her to do this. And I'm like, no, I like women. A lot of my boyfriends that I had didn't like that I liked women. So that became an issue in my relationships.
Interesting.
Yeah, they didn't like it. They would get super jealous. And I, never disrespected them in any sense, but they knew that I was attracted to women. So when they saw somebody that I was like, oh, I think that they're attractive, right away they would get jealous, or they would be insecure about it for whatever their personal reasons were. Um, but I was like, cool, this is a way for me to finally explore that side of me, the side that's attracted to women, but I still have a boyfriend, which I've always enjoyed having. I've
Mm.
always enjoyed having a partner. Um, so yeah, so that kind of made my transition into doing that. And then once that relationship ended, I was gonna continue that lifestyle, but I realized that there was something missing for me, and it's the fact that I like having that home base. Like I don't need it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy having a partner in crime to navigate life with as we grow individually, but also be able to share experiences and talk about these things without being judged, without somebody being insecure about the things that I enjoy.
When you say I don't need it, can you elaborate a little bit more?
Um, I feel
Because
like some people have the mentality that they have to have a partner and that it makes them a bad person or a loser or they've lost something in life because they don't have a partner. You know what I mean? And uh, the way that I grew up, I can't think of really any relationship, even in my own family, where there wasn't a lot of troubles in the relationships, even if they stuck it out. You know what I mean? So even though I kept consistently having a partner, in my mind, the idea of marriage for many, many years was like, hell no. Like, I grew up watching all these ladies in my life getting cheated on, all these fights, just like all these things that I'm like, why would I want to get married? Like, this all sounds terrible. Um, so I think at first I was like, oh, I'm doing this because I was taught to do this. I was taught to have a partner. And then once I started navigating my own mental ways and thinking and what my preferences were and everything, I was like, no, I enjoy having a partner because I want someone to enjoy life with. Um, but I don't have to have it because I could either stick it out in something that I'm not happy with, or I could be by myself and be at peace. You know, I rather have, if I'm gonna have something, I rather it be awesome. And so my idea now is like, I don't want to just be married. If I ever choose to be married, I want to literally from my heart be able to say I'm happily married. Because I've seen people say that, and I'm like, that's different. Some people are like, oh yeah, I'm married, and you could tell they're like, oh, that's my ball and chain. Like, you know, like I'm half the person I used to be now because now I have to accommodate this person, which I understand. You have to do some of that in relationships, but at the same time, I'm like, I've seen relationships and I believe that you can build a relationship that you don't have to sacrifice that much of yourself, you know? So that's why now I'm like, I do enjoy the idea of having a partner, but I don't have to have it. And that's why now this is as long as I've been single. Since I was 15 years old, I pretty much always had a boyfriend, back to back, back to back. And a year and a half now, and I'm like actually single, and it's been nice. It's been a lot of exploration, a lot of self exploration as to it made me really think like, why did I always have a partner? Why did I consistently always have a partner? And it was like, oh, because I was taught that you needed to get married. So I was on this hunt of like, I have to find a person to get married with. And then I was also like, oh, well, if you don't have a partner and you're 30 or you're 40, your Mexican family looks at you like, oh, this poor thing, like no one wanted to get this one. And I'm like, oh, well, fuck you guys. you know, like no, that's not why. Like I actually chose to be single because I wanted to be happy in my relationship. I didn't just want to stick it out. Like I wanted to make sure that I'm super super happy in something, and if I'm not, then I'd rather be with myself.
okay,
So I don't have to have it, but I would like to have it.
yeah, all right. I just was curious about that whole like not needing it type thing
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
think that it's very easy to invalidate someone who wants to be somewhere with you. Like if you have a partner who wants to be there for you, but then you're like, oh no, no, I need you to understand. I don't need you. I want you. And they can interpret that as like, well, damn, like why are you here? The subjectivity of I don't need you or I don't need
right,
this. I want you. So I was just like
right.
teasing out a little more clarification there.
Yeah. No, and you're totally right because I've had that problem with partners before where I've told them, I don't need you, and they took it that way. They took it as in like, well, fuck you too, you know? I guess I'm just an option. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, I mean it in the sense that like I'm happy with who I am and I'm still gonna continue on my route to pursue my goals, whether you're here or not. You know, I don't need you to be here. I would like you to be here. And I personally feel that that's a better outlook in relationships because when someone needs you, I feel like that's a toxic attachment. Like, I need you to be here for me to breathe. I need you to be here for me to be happy. Without you, I'm not happy. And I don't think that that's healthy. I feel
Let's
like
let's
you
talk
should
through this some
be
more.
able to be healthy without that.
Yeah, let's talk through this some more. So when I think about things, I'm coming at stuff from a different perspective now. I've had some recent life experiences that have really made me understand that things in excess are terrible for you. Too much
Yes.
oxygen is bad for you. Too much water
Yeah.
is bad for you, right? These things are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
When we go into like needing someone too much versus
Mhm.
needing them in a healthy amount or in moderation. I think that especially with the way society is set up now, like people have needs.
Mhm.
It becomes unattractive when people become needy, quote, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So needing someone, I clearly need another person for my sexual needs. I need
Right.
another person because there's 24 hours in a day. For X amount of hours, I'm sleeping. For another X amount of hours, I have to work and make money. For another X amount of hours, there are other things to be done. So,
Mhm.
having someone else to make that easier, like that's a need for me to have,
Mhm.
whether it be community, whether it be a partner, whether it be friends, whether it be colleagues, like someone to take the load of having to do everything myself. So if I
Mhm.
were to, let's say, take away the internet and let's take away money, right? If
Mhm.
I had to sleep, I had to make sure I was alive while I was asleep. Like I would need to be
Mhm.
protected, have some form of shelter. I would need to be able to grow my food, hunt for it, fight off predators and whatever else might be trying to eat or kill me or steal from what I have, right? uh,
Mhm.
there's not enough time. There's just not enough time in a day to be independent. Like I'm very much like I do a lot of things on my own, but there's these sacrifices that are being made
Mhm.
that probably are killing me a lot faster by saying I don't need anybody than to just be able to admit like, hey, I need someone to support
Mhm.
me, like to co-create and do these things alongside one another and
Mhm.
be able to bring in more people to make our lives easier. So like we need people. While we may not necessarily think we need a partner, like a
Mhm.
partner, a relationship is
Mhm.
more than just like an exchange of tangibles or like what's that word I'm looking for here? Like uh, transactional. That's it. Need. I
Mhm.
think that we say we don't need someone. What we're saying is I don't need you transactionally, but there is more substance to the need of another person who you can trust for that, like you said, that security, somebody that you come home to, your home base, right? That's a
Mhm. Mhm.
need. So to say like I don't need a person but I need home base, you're sort of dehumanizing or removing the human from that when we really do need human connection. And like home isn't
Right.
where your house is, like home is where you are able to talk about your experiences with your other girlfriend or y'all's girlfriend, be able to
Mhm.
take your shoes off and flop down, on your person, or like be able to
Mhm.
just take that deep breath, sigh, and know that when you go to sleep, you're going to wake up, or have confidence that
Mhm.
you're going to wake up, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
feeling, like things don't provide these feelings, people do. So that's my little rant about just needs because I think that there's an overcorrection of like independence getting away from needs because we don't want to seem needy. But the reality is, like, we have to sort of recalibrate that a little bit. Like, yeah, actually,
Right.
I do need someone, and it's
Mhm.
nice to be needed, especially as a man. Like, in a
Yeah.
time where we are seeing so many people say, I don't need no man. It's like, all right,
Right.
well, if you don't need me, why am I here? I'm gonna go find somebody who do need me. And that's kind
Right.
of the
Right.
core of a man's identity is to be
Right.
needed. So
Interesting.
there's my rant. I needed to say
Yeah.
that.
And no, yeah, you have a lot of valid points that I feel get lost in saying I don't need somebody. Like, dang
But
it,
I
how
know
can
what
I
you
make
mean when
that?
you say I want. I know what you mean. When you say you want
Right.
these things but don't need them, I think what you're trying to do is alleviate the pressure of attachment. And I think
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
what that does though is like
Yeah.
that is a method of attachment. Like there's healthy attachment in
Right.
an effort to avoid being too attached. What we
Right.
become is more avoidant. It's
Right. Right.
wild.
Right.
It's a wild
Right.
thing to say, but this ain't my
Yeah.
podcast. It's
No.
yours.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. That I've realized that my thought in that the way that I think in that sense is also not the healthiest because I've learned that it's hyper independence. And there's a lot of things that I've seen about that, but it's like part of it is either you grew up having to fend for yourself, in certain situations, or you want to avoid disappointment. So in order to avoid disappointment, you tell yourself you don't need something so that you don't get disappointed, and you're not like, oh, now they know I needed them. Now I seem weak because I needed you.
And that's so sad because it's so
Yeah,
beautiful when that can be just laid on the table, and it's like,
yeah,
hey, baby, listen, I need you for this, and
right.
I'm learning this from the kink and BDSM community. Um,
Mm-hmm,
the conversations that I have with people, the communication is very beautiful,
mm-hmm,
specifically in like dom sub dynamics,
mm-hmm,
in people's day to day life. I think everybody has to assert themselves in either a dominant, go getter, assertive role or a compliant, submissive, supportive role. And
mm-hmm,
coming out of having to do that for 8 to 10, 12, 14 hours a day, to be
mm-hmm,
able to not do that and just let go, rest, and restore, and be able to balance out that energy shift with
mm-hmm,
the opposite of that. Or if you're someone who's in that role and you're like, yes, this is where I belong, to be
mm-hmm,
able like to get home and then you got to like run the household if you like just supporting, right? And you get
right,
home and you got to make all the decisions, do this, that, and third. The need there is for leadership, and that could be sought out unconsciously in very unhealthy ways. Abusive
right,
relationships, as an example.
right,
Same thing for the other side of that. If you are someone who's naturally a leader, naturally dominant, but you find yourself around people who are incompetent or people who make you look bad, then we get into relationship dynamics that invalidate your identity as, quote, a dom or a leader. So,
mm-hmm.
fit and compatibility are so important here because
Oh
if
yeah,
you take that supportive person and you bring them into contact with that leader, what you have is going to be the creation of a civilization, a community,
mm-hmm,
a new
mm-hmm,
thing. I use this like
mm-hmm,
at its core, femininity and masculinity, when they are able to come together, it's just the divine. Like, you bring
mm-hmm,
them together and you're supposed to get life, right? Man, woman,
right,
babies made, creation. But you bring that
right,
masculine and that feminine together, and you don't just get like new life. Like, if two people who demonstrate those things are not
mm-hmm,
wanting to have a baby together, you
right,
get a community, you get art, you get culture, you
mm-hmm,
get civilization,
right,
you get a co-created just structural society, you know
right,
and
right,
we're being taught that one doesn't need the other in order to be complete, but the
mm-hmm.
one does need the other in order for more to be accomplished. Bam.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Soapbox.
Yeah,
I need to
and I
speak.
have seen that. Yeah, I've seen that in research too. It says that, well, at least financially, well, that's the point I saw, but financially, couples tend to get further faster than a single person, which makes 100% sense. If two people are splitting rent and bills, it's better than like I have to carry everything. You
Yeah.
know, so that I understand, and I guess that brings me to another point of you were saying how it changed my diagnosis, changed my life or impacted my life. That was another thing because I'm a very, I mean, I guess a lot of people say this, but I do consider myself very unique, particular type of person from my life experiences, from just a lot of things about my brain. Um, so I realized that I prefer someone who kind of dabbles within both of feminine and masculine energies. And so, first, I'm very picky with people as far as partners, even hookups, like anybody. I'm just super picky, even friends. I'm super, super picky. I have a very small circle of friends. Um, and a lot of people don't think that about me because I'm a musician and I've done a lot of cool stuff and I've traveled a lot, and a lot of people like me. Um, but in me, I like to keep myself safe in the sense of who I'm speaking to, who I'm surrounding myself with. Um, and so I'm very picky, even more picky with partners, right? So I'm already picky. I'm a very unique person. I like particular things. And then Then I realized I also want a partner who's okay with me being with women and hopefully will be with women with me. And then I also realized that I like someone who has dabbles between masculine and feminine energy. My last partner had that. They would switch between masculine and feminine, and so that's where the pansexual part comes in. I like people in between, in the male aspect mostly. Women I like more feminine. Men I like guys that are kind of feminine but also masculine. So that narrowed down my circle even more of my pool of fishes. And then I got this diagnosis, and I was like, oh my God, that just narrowed it down like a billion times more. And that just impacted me dramatically. And that did put me in a little bit of a depression for the first month, because I was like, oh my God, I already knew how hard it is for me to find someone attractive, both spiritually, physically, mentally. And then I also know that I don't want someone who's just masculine energy, but I want a male, but they also have to have feminine energy. But now I have this diagnosis, and so now I have to find someone who's comfortable with it or already has it. And it's just like, holy shit, it's just back to back things that were stacking up that I'm like, okay, me being by myself, it kind of started like lingering in my mind more. I'm like, damn, am I gonna be by myself forever? Like, that's gonna fucking suck. Like, I don't want to be by myself. Like, yeah, I can have hookups, and I can have friends with benefits, and I can have cuddle buddies, and I can have friends that are emotionally supportive. But to have like a legit, what I would consider a partner for me, the pool just got narrowed down so much that I was like, that sent me into a little bit of a depression, because I was like, damn, like now it's even harder for me to find what I think I was looking for. I'm still exploring the idea of what I'm actually looking for. Um, but yeah, the whole I feel like it's essential to have the feminine and masculine energy. Um, and I have that too. So I'm a switch. And so I will present masculine energy. I'll also present feminine energy. I can switch back and forth depending on the person that I'm with. Um, so I feel like that made it a little bit more complicated for me personally, because I don't see myself with a male who's just masculine, but I also don't see myself with a female who wants to present masculine energy. So I feel like it just gets complicated for myself. And that's my preferences, I guess.
It sounds like you just
But
want a man who is emotionally intelligent.
I mean, that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like what does a feminine, masculine man look like to you?
Um, well, my last partner, for example, I guess you could say, had dual personalities. So on some days he's masculine and dresses like a dude, I guess, and some days he's feminine and dresses like a female. Wears more feminine clothing, wears makeup, does his hair more feminine, um,
So,
dances more feminine.
oh, so you would like to be with someone who's not straight?
Yeah,
Oh, all right,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, but you were saying the feminine and masculine energy, how they complement each other,
yeah, yeah,
and how it is necessary to have them. They balance each other, they help each other out,
okay.
and I 100% believe that. I think that. Well, do I?
The dress. Hold on. So the dressing thing, is that it? Because when we talk about like the energy of it, that seems more of like a gender presentation type thing. And I could be completely wrong, but like if
It is.
how do you see femininity show up in a masculine person in a way that's attractive to you? Outside of, I guess, dressing. So, or that's one thing. Sometimes he'll wear street clothes, look like a dude. Sometimes he'll wear makeup, put on a dress. What else is there to you?
Okay, good question. So, in the masculine sense, the character tended to be more serious, more focused, um, more straightforward, very blunt. And the feminine energy was more playful, more sensitive, more emotional. Um, we also could bond over girly things like makeup and hair and clothing. which is something you can't really, bond too much over with a straight guy. Once in a while, you'll find a straight guy that like knows about that stuff, but like not very often.
Okay.
Um,
I was just asking for, yeah, yeah. Like, please don't
yeah,
think you gotta overthink it. I just, that was a question that I think if
no,
anybody
that's a
was
great
listening, they
question.
would
It's a
want to.
great question because it helps me analyze what is it that I consider
All right.
masculine and feminine. What is it about it that I feel is a feminine energy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Being Mexican, I know that people of color typically are less, more so informed, educated, or accepting of this kind of diagnosis. So I guess, like, where are you experiencing the most success with dating? It's only been 3 months, so let me ask you: are you
Yeah.
currently even dating? Are you seeing people? Are you sexual with people? How is that for you right now?
No, I'm not dating anybody. I didn't really want to continue the dirty 30 thing, but then also the pool is very small for me now. So I don't know. I'm like you saw on my profile. My focus was like, okay, I'm gonna look for a partner,
Hmm.
right? I don't want to hook up. I want to find specifically a partner. Um, but then I'm also dabbling with the idea of, well, do I just want to be like a nun till I find that partner? Like, do I just want to be like no sex, no cuddling? And I'm like, damn, I'm already really picky. So I feel like it's not 100% set. I have an idea of what I would want, but then I'm also looking at the fact that, like, I don't know if I really want to exit out everything else till I find that one person.
So you ain't lowered your standards because you got herpes, have you? Please tell me you haven't.
Oh, God, no.
All right, thank you. I think that's what I was looking for. I was like, oh man, here we go.
No.
And I appreciate that you
Yeah.
said, you mentioned all those things about partners. And I hope that people take away from this podcast that you don't lower your standards, because when you
No.
lower your standards, I was having this conversation with a colleague yesterday. So I work as I teach medical students to give genital exams, as well as I work as a patient actor, basically. And so she's an actor, and she was telling me about how people will really take their jobs in acting more seriously than the roles of being a patient actor, and they'll get like $400 for what essentially comes down to like 50 cents an hour between like studying, getting back and forth to auditions, and then going through the performances, and they'll just make like $400 and prioritize that over this work that pays $20 an hour, so that the powers that be that go, oh, patient actors, what's the market for it? They look at how much or little money they make and prioritize that they only have to compete with the lowering with that value. So what she was explaining to me was that if these people were to value themselves more, that would raise the stock value, so to speak. And if the stock value goes up, then everybody gets paid more because you're not settling for what would come out to 50 cents an hour. You're raising the bar high. By realizing and building on what your value is in these settings, and now everybody can eat more and get more money. And so what that made me think about was just this, and how we're having this conversation, making me think, my value doesn't go down because I have herpes. Nothing about me goes down. Like, in fact, I would argue that my value has gone up significantly because of my response to how I have herpes. And yes, I'm not just, picky. I am even more picky about who I share space with, who I share time with, because now I have to screen people a little bit differently. One, do I even want to have sex with you? It's not, do you want to have sex with me even though I have herpes? It's, do I want to deal with the disclosure piece? Do I want to deal with your reaction to me telling you? Do I want to deal with the potential of being rejected by you? Do I want to deal with the possibility of you getting it from me, and then like whatever comes after that? These are
Right.
some of the questions, but as you just sat here and you sort of talked through it, you could see points in your face where you were kind of unsure, but you were able to speak through to more of the things that are in fact your standards. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think people get the opportunity to do that. So my hope is that anyone listening to this podcast episode is able to take this experience and look at what your current value is and decide how you can, in fact, use your diagnosis or even things around your diagnosis to increase your own value so that you not only increase your value as a person in the dating world, but even in your career, even in your personal life, even in your passions, your creative expression, your value as a friend, as a sibling, as a parent, as an offspring, whatever you might
Mm.
be. And that's going to also just inherently for this community help us see ourselves from a lens of which, oh, I can do more. I can, increase my value because not just you see yourself differently, but how you also present yourself. So
Right.
that's what I hope to leave us with. We've got
Yeah.
about 9-ish minutes left. I try to keep these
Yeah.
around an hour. So I wanted to ask you, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about or anything that you'd like to share with the Something Positive for Positive People audience?
Yeah. On that same topic, that's what helped me deal with it. Is the minute that I found out, I started researching. Well, okay, yeah. There's a couple things. I first researched if you could track it, right? And from what I researched, you couldn't track it, and so I couldn't find out how long ago I had it because I had been getting tested for STDs for years. I've been getting tested for STDs for so many years. What I didn't realize is that the STD clinic don't test for herpes. And so, or at least not here in Las Vegas. So when I found out, I was really upset because I was like, I've been getting tested for years, never knowing, and now I don't know how long I've had it. I don't know where it came from. There's no way to trace it. There's no way to do all that. So uh, I I would like to advocate for people being aware of that. That if you want to get tested for that, you have to usually go to an actual doctor and request it because a lot of the clinics don't test for it. Um, and then when I found out, I started looking on YouTube for people that would talk about it on TikTok or YouTube, and they ended up helping me be able to deal with it because a lot of them mentioned the fact that people will kill themselves over this, and I thought that was so sad, but I completely understood it. I didn't feel suicidal myself, but I could totally understand where that could go, and I'm really glad that this podcast exists and that all those people that I saw on YouTube and on TikTok, especially women, for me as a woman, it was more direct seeing a woman being like, this is what happened, this is how I found out, and the stigma behind it of like, you have an STD, that means you were a slut. That means you were probably doing crazy shit and this is why you got it. And it's like, no, there's so many people of stories that, I was with an actual just regular partner, they cheated on me, or I had a random hookup, it was a one night stand, I was just having a good time, and that's what happened. And then I got it. Like it happens in so many different ways from so many different people. I You're right, I don't feel like it devalues you. I don't feel like you should lower your standards because of it. I don't think you're less of a person from it. I like the aspect of being so transparent about it. But I've noticed some people, like I said, they wait till they go to go on a couple dates and then they tell somebody. Um, for me, I decided that that's not the first thing I want to tell you. Like if I find you cute, I'm not going to be like, hey, by the way, I have herpes. The first 2 seconds you know me. But I might talk to you for a little bit and be like, hey, before we continue, I want to be straightforward and transparent. I have herpes. Is it something you're comfortable with? Are you familiar with it? Do you have any questions? And I have had people be like, oh, well, thank you for the honesty. Obviously that lets me know what we can do, and or I am comfortable with it, I'm not comfortable with it. Um, so I hope that people, like you mentioned, learn that this happens to all kinds of people in life. It doesn't make you just that. You're not just a person with herpes. Now you're still everything else that you do. Um, but definitely don't, like you said, don't devalue yourself because that's that's not what this is. It doesn't make you less of a person because you have this, and it doesn't make you a terrible person because you got it. It doesn't make you a slut. It doesn't make you a diseased person that shouldn't be touched anymore. Like, that's definitely not what this is. You are still everything that you are, and hopefully you decide to try to find the parts of you that are still there. They're all still there to flourish. This made me focus even more on my goals. I was already focusing on becoming an interpreter and pursuing my drumming career more and everything. But now I'm just like, okay, well, now that kind of lowered the activity of me being so sexually active all the time, even if I wanted to be, and it helped me focus more on my goals and be even more careful with what I do so that I don't spread this and so that people are also aware how easily you can get it. Because I don't think people realize that. It's like it's it's so easily caught. It's weird. I don't feel that there's enough education about that. There should be, but there isn't. And a lot of people that I found on YouTube and TikTok that found out, they were like, yeah, my doctor had no information. One girl was even like, yeah, I asked the doctor. She told me if she had any, pamphlets or anything I could find out. She's like, she literally printed me out like stuff from the internet from WebMD. And it's like, wow, I could have just done that myself. Thanks for the info. um, but luckily, there's things like this that educate people more on it because there's not enough education, and the stigma is terrible. And hopefully that changes because it's ridiculous how easily you can catch it. It's not just like penetration. It's not. It's just touch. From what I know, from what I use, it's just skin to skin, skin to skin, really easily caught oral or not. Like it's crazy to me. But yeah, I appreciate this podcast a lot because there's so much out there that people don't know about it, and I'm not glad that I caught it, but I'm glad that I have the mentality that I do to deal with it and help advocate for it. Like I don't know, in a sense, I feel like I got this for a reason, and I feel like it's changed my mentality in a lot of ways, but not in bad ways. It's made me a lot stronger for sure, for sure.
Good. Um, all right. Thank you. I appreciate. I forgot what I called you. That's why I was trying to stall a little bit. I was like, "What did I call you? Miru? Milu?
Milu.
Ah, I was so close. I was like Myra. No, Mila. No, Mila. Milu. Got it. All right. That concludes this episode of Something Positive for Positive People. Please like, rate, review, share, subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, you can join our Patreon page by visiting patreon.com/SPFPP. If you're someone who likes to just have auto donations come out, set it and forget it. There you'll also get exclusive content from me, myself, on the podcast. You can engage with me more there. Otherwise, you can just make a one-time donation to a Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and you can find out which of those options works best for you by visiting www.spfpp.org. And if you need something from me, please email me. There's been some things happening lately where I think that people are confusing, what to come to me about and what to come to me for, and I think that it's best to just screen the people, who need professional, um, healthy herpes related content or whatever. Like, if you want to talk to me about herpes, please email me. If you DM me about things that are herpes related, I'm going to ask that you email me so that we keep the conversation and communication there. Yeah, just to keep it that way. All right. Till next time. Oh, yeah, I forgot I'm not saying stay sex positive anymore. Damn. I had everything so smoothly like spoken to until this part right here. Blooper reel. Yeah, I catch y'all on the next one. Thank you for your time.